I am going to talk about Tenacious Faith. I guess that's the right word. Yeah, Tenacious Faith. Faith that don't give up. Faith that holds on. That I think the definition of tenacious is to keep holding on to something, to adhere to tightly. You know, no matter what's going on, you're still there. You're not going to give up. Seems like a lot of people try something 2 or 3 times and don't do good, and they're like, I'm done. Or they don't see a good result that they want, and they're like, no, I'm through. I mean, I've been that guy. I've tried stuff a few times, and I'm like, no, it ain't for me. It's just fun to do something if you're naturally good at it, but it's no fun if you have to practice a lot to get any good at it, right? I mean, I've been there. I'm like, nope. But of course, it's fun if you got talent for it. I don't know if my Bible is charged. I may have to use a real Bible. Let's see. Yeah, it's charged. Not going to turn it right this second, but there's one thing it says in the Bible that if you don't have it, it's impossible to please God. One thing.
Okay.
Thanks for the spoiler, Mom. Okay, thanks for the spoiler. I
Oh,
was
I'm
kidding.
sorry.
I don't care. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, I'm kidding.
Maybe.
All right. Yeah, you got it correct. I don't know how you knew that, but yeah, in Hebrews it tells us it's impossible to please God without faith. It don't say without singing, without praying, which we know we're supposed to and we should do those things, and He does like those things, and it's kind of unproductive when we don't do those things. And we want a relationship with Him. Relationship with Him is what it's about. I'm going to Hebrews 11:6. In case anybody don't believe me. It says it. Hebrews 11:6. It says, but without faith it is impossible to please Him. For he who comes to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. Okay, and here's the difference in those folks that try something 2 or 3 times, or they just try something that's supposed to be more than just something you try. I mean, God isn't someone or something we just try. We just give them a few minutes and, oh, it didn't work, and we're done with God. But some folks act like that. I prayed, I didn't see nothing happen. Or, I tried that. You hear, I tried it. He didn't do anything. Well, you didn't have faith. You didn't use faith if that's what you did. If you just tried something for a second and then quit. You're not living in faith about that, whatever it is. You don't have to be a Christian to have faith. There's people that use those principles that don't have anything to do with God because they know it works. I mean, there's people, look at it, there's a ton of athletes that's been injured and they'll never play again, that play again. Doctors go, oh, you'll never walk again. Well, that's funny. He's over here pole vaulting. I mean, doctors are good at limiting things like that. I mean, sure, there's doctors that encourage. There is doctors that do good things, but they just go by the natural most of the time, and they see that damage, and they're like, "Oh, you'll never function right again." And these guys are like, "Whatever, I'll be out playing my next year," and they'll be out there playing just like they said because they have faith. They believe they can do it. It works good or bad. I mean, that's good faith. It just ain't God faith. I love when people don't let people limit them. I love it when people do that. Oh, you'll never do that. You hide and watch. How many people would have tried 100 times to invent a light bulb? Just get an idea in their head and be like, man, I've done tried 7, 8 times. I'm done. How many? I mean, you think of 100 different ways of trying to make something. I mean, just in general, a lot of people gave up before 100. I don't want to talk down about myself, but I'll see me doing it 100 times. I'm like, oh, whatever. Candle's good. Candle's good. I like the candle. But I'm pretty sure he said he learned 99 ways not to make a light bulb, right? That was true, isn't it? Didn't they say he tried 100 times or right around it? I believe it's supposed to be true. And there's plenty of things people have done a bunch of times or attempted to do a bunch of times. And that's the difference sometimes of people that are very successful and not. I mean, there's people that failed and failed and failed and failed and failed and just was like, I don't care, I'm going to get it done. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that's the difference. That's the difference in failure and victory right there. And in Luke, Jesus talks about, and to be specific, if anybody wants to look at it sometime, it's in Luke chapter 11, verse 5 through 8. He's talking about a man that has somebody come visit him from out of town, and it's late at night, and he don't have any preparations for his visitor. And so he goes to his neighbor, knocks on the door, and says, hey, man, you got some flour and meal, whatever he needed to make his meal. And his friend's like, dude, my kids are in bed with me. I'm in bed. I'm not getting that much for you. Jesus says right then, he says, he won't give him the food and stuff because he's his friend. He says, but for his persistence, he'll get up and give him what he needs. That's ought to be powerful. Friends will do a lot of things for friends. But persistence will get him that over friendship. That's what that's telling. I mean, persistence pays. And Jesus is telling us this for a reason. When you have, I mean, there's, all right, one example right off the top of my head. Heidi Baker and Roland Baker are missionaries in Mozambique. And they face some pretty rough stuff. There's wars, there's diseases. Well, for 2 years, and I don't think it's a curable thing, 2 years, Roland Baker had cerebral malaria. It was crazy. Lost his mind, couldn't even function. And she prayed for him for 2 years, and then boom, totally delivered him. But he was and she's there in another country doing missionary work with thousands of churches that they started, and got all this responsibility. Her husband's insane, basically. Went crazy, totally useless as far as the work. He was bedbound for a long time. I think he wasn't even fully conscious at times. And then boom, breakthrough. What if she'd have gave up and just quit? I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people, probably millions of people that they've influenced one way or the other through their work or something else. And they've seen things. I mean, none of us, she couldn't right now tell you, well, he stayed like this that long because. They couldn't tell you why. I mean, they just couldn't. And it don't matter why. What matters is you're going to pound on that thing until it's destroyed. The cerebral malaria has to be destroyed. You don't shoot one bullet at an enemy army and say, well, it's still alive. I quit. You're going to unload everything you got, and if it takes you years to conquer it for freedom, you're going to conquer it. You're going to conquer. Send those. Our artillery shells are our words. We're going to send them out. And I want to talk about that for prayer, because tenacious faith in prayer looks like you're just bombarding the enemy with words that mean something. You're not just praying with no heart behind it and with no conviction. You're not just speaking words that don't mean a thing to you. You're firing things with purpose. And you're going to keep doing it. And you keep doing it until you win. And sometimes it don't even take long, but if you just have that in your heart that you're going to do it no matter what. I mean, Jesus told a lady, look, it's not a time for you and your daughter to be delivered because you're not a Jew. Jews are supposed to get what God has for them first. But he left a loophole. Didn't say he wasn't supposed to get it all. The Jews are just supposed to get it first. Maybe she knew Mary. It's not time. She's do what he says, and she made wine. You had them make wine, right? Maybe she knew Mary or something. She's like, yeah, even the dogs eat from this. And you know, he tells this woman, it's not good that I give the children's bread to dogs. Then that meant Jews. You know, now they're still dogs, and the Bible refers to unsaved because in Revelation it talks about dogs, right? So that just means someone who's not a person of God. Then it was the Jews. After Jesus died, it's everybody. We're either all, any of us can be a Jew at heart or whatever. I mean, it says there is no Jew now. I mean, there is, but there isn't, right? It says there's no Jew, Greek, none of that. We're all one under him. We're not separated into that. But he just did it a little early because of her faith. He said, because of the saying, go home, your daughter's healed. And she went home, her daughter was healed. She was tenacious. She wouldn't take no for an answer. She wouldn't take a timing thing as an answer. She just was, no, I need this done. You're my only hope. She knew he had what she needed. She might have tackled him if he'd have said that one more time. You never know. Say it. Say the word. You never know. She's tenacious. She's one of those people. Another one that people don't look at as tenacious, I don't think, but I kind of see her that way, is the woman with the issue of blood. She snuck through a crowd and touched the hem of his garment. She would have been killed for doing that. She was unclean. She was bleeding in a what's the word I'm looking for? In a womanly way. She had an issue of blood, but she was considered unclean when that's going on. And she goes out and touches somebody and does all that. She could have been killed for that. But she says, if I can touch this garment, I'm healed, and I'm going to do it. Risk her life to do it. How many times do you risk your life to pray for something? To see something delivered? It's just, I mean, she had that faith that I'm talking about. She had that tenacious faith. Spiritual tenacity brings great victory over whatever it is. If you're tenacious in it, you're going to win. That's all it takes. It's not just, I prayed, I tried it. No. You're firing shots. One of them shots going to hit and it's going to count. I mean, look at it however you need to be built up in the faith to do it, because persistence pays. I mean, there's a parable in there of an unjust judge, and this elderly woman, widow, comes in and she breaks down this judge to the point where he gives her whatever she wants, because he can't compete with that. She's a little old widow. It says she came in and she kept on making her petition, kept coming in, kept on. Hey, have you took care of my enemy yet? Hey, have you seen my case, and have you looked and judged in my favor? And he's like, you know, I really don't care nothing about her. But because she keeps doing it, I'm going to give her what she wants. Because she'll weary me. I'll be wore out from her coming in here telling me that every day. And gave her what she wanted. Pretty powerful. And it says an unjust judge. How much more will your Father in heaven give you when you ask? You don't just fire it and forget it. Sometimes things are absolutely instant. Some things, it might take 2 years to come out of basically a coma. Sometimes you just never know. That's also in Luke about the widow and her petitions. And I kind of had a little, I guess you call it a phrase, that kind of hit me, or just something that hit me. We should aggressively surrender to God, and we'll see great victory in those things. Tenacious faith aggressively surrenders to God, because whatever He says, when you obey it, you are being extremely humble. He'll give you grace for whatever you need, because anything He says is right. And if you agree with what He says and obey it, you're being humble. And if you're in need of some of those things, or see something that needs to be done, and you're like, yeah, but I'm not, and you disagree with what God says, you're being arrogant. You're being prideful. Your opinions more than God's truth is what you're making it, and that ain't the way it's supposed to be. So aggressively submitting. Give Him your time, your effort, and your obedience. That's what we need to do. That's how if we live our life that way, we'll be victorious. We'll be happy. We're over here trying to get these things we think we want, and it don't bring happiness. Stuff don't do it. Wealth don't do it. We need to be aggressive at speaking our enemies' defeat. I have caught myself slacking in prayer time. I prayed very aggressively. I remember I would pray, and on a regular basis, stuff would just come up and pray that I'm not even thinking. I mean, I would just pray it in English, but I'm like, why am I praying that? And I remember one time, it was part of a psalm that just came up in my heart, and I just remember praying, I was like, and Lord, just break the teeth of my enemies. And it was funny, somebody laid out of church the next week with broken teeth.
Wow.
Multiple teeth broke that week. I won't go into any more detail now, but I'll just tell you. And it seems there's times where it's hard for a lot of people, and it means we need to even more when we don't want to, like especially worship. When you don't feel like worshiping, you really need to worship. But it's hard for people to be tenacious in prayer naturally. I mean, that's something we do. And prayer isn't just petitions, it's communion with God, talking to Him, just pouring out your heart to Him, listening for Him to speak to you. Just on a regular basis, and have that communion. Man, He'll tell you stuff. He'll tell you the smallest things. I mean, I just went deer hunting, and it was about the time I wanted to leave. And I started to just get up, and I'm hunting on the side of a mountain. It's steep. I started to get up and just walk straight back to my truck. But I felt like, you know what? I'm going to walk a little further over to this other ridge and take the long way back to my truck. I just felt like I ought to. I got up. I didn't walk far. I was probably 100 yards from where I was sitting, and turned and started coming back up. And I don't know if there was a deer that was just hiding there the whole time, or if he walked up when I come around in that less than 10-minute period of time. I walked around, and I could shoot any deer on this hunt. And this deer I could hear it kind of trotting. I'm like, what in the world? there's a deer there. And I eased up a little bit, and that thing trotted off just a little piece and turned behind a tree where I could see what I needed to see, and thought it was hid. And I got that deer, but I just felt like I need to go back to the truck. But instead, I just went ahead and did what I thought. When that thought came up, hey, you ought to go over there. I did it and got a deer out of it. And some people won't notice or pay attention or say, thank you, Lord, for telling me that. But that was the Lord to tell me that. I firmly believe it. And I've had many times where I listened and was successful in whatever I was doing. I mean, he cares about even hunting. I remember Dan Moeller talking about, I was sitting in a tree or sitting somewhere hunting, and the Lord said, hey, you better hurry up and get ready or you're going to miss it. And he said, I think he's bow hunting. He got his bow ready real quick. Here comes the deer. He cares about those little things. He tells us stuff all the time. I have killed I'm sorry for non-hunters that don't like this, but I have killed a lot of nice deer in my life. I've killed more than most people as far as nice deer on public land. And people say, you are the luckiest. But no, I'm not. I'm not lucky. God blesses me. And I'll tell them that all the time, and they don't pay it much attention. But you just don't know how many times man, you're just so lucky. You're just so lucky. No, I'm blessed. I listen. I listen even when I'm hunting. He loves for us to be successful. He says if you'll get my word and you'll be obedient to my word, that you'll be overtaken with blessing. One time I was sitting on the side of a hill on the ground hunting, and I hear something, and I see a whole pack of coyotes run on this hillside in front of me, and they got my attention. And then as soon as they go around the curve where I can't see them, I hear, and I look, and there's a deer about 5 yards from me trotting, a big old buck, about to run over me. And I had to get my gun and just shoot in the fence. I mean, he was about to run up. I didn't even get to aim and got that big old nice 8-pointer that was about to run over me. It didn't even see me, but it was about to hit me. I just thought, man, there's a blessing almost overtook me, almost ran over me. But, whatever, if you let things be more important than you should, I mean, nothing should be too important. I mean, people that think that's idolatry when it gets too important. But when you're in balance, he loves to just bless you with the desires of your heart. It says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. He does. He loves to do that. He's blessed me with stuff. And a lot of it was hunting because I've hunted for a lot of years, but he's blessed me so much. I'm saying all this is to say, don't get complacent. Get fired up about praying and make that time. It's nice. I mean, that's one thing I love about the outdoor. You can get out there and you can just get out there and listen and spend time. And it's just real nice to spend time with the Lord. And it's something we should do every day. I'm going to stop there.